Hey guys, and welcome back to another project that I have sort of already started, but I'm going to be making videos for now until it's finished. So this is going to be a small set of speakers, completely handmade and very compact. So I began by actually designing this cabinet in SketchUp to make sure that everything was going to fit. I wanted it to be very small while still having a pretty large 4-inch driver, and to make sure everything fits inside I had to digitally design it. And then I went ahead, bought a large 2-foot by 4-foot piece of 1/2-inch thick MDF, and then I cut it into strips just like this one, and then I cut the strips into rectangles of the correct size to make all of the sides of the box. And at that point I basically glued it together. I used the disc sander to flatten out all the sides, since when you glue something, sometimes it's like a millimeter off, and you want it to be completely flat, so I just sanded everything. I used a Dremel with a rotary bit on it and a circle guide to cut out the 2 circles for the small and the large driver. And this is going to be one of the speakers. You can see the black is glued on and it has a hole for the cable to go in. But there's this one over here, which I did a bit differently. This is going to be the main speaker with the amplifier inside and everything. This one will have a removable back. You can see it's got a lot more holes here for all the screws and for the amplifier, and it's also got a volume knob over here. So currently everything is together already and ready for painting. All the openings are taped off, and I will be using some regular spray paint to paint the cabinets black before actually putting all the hardware inside. So I have 3 paints over here. I have glossy, semi-gloss, and matte black, flat black. I was testing them out on some spare pieces of wood. I noticed that the matte black actually scratched pretty easily, so I tried using semi-gloss, and that looks pretty much exactly the same to me. I can't tell a difference between the two, and it also still scratches about the same. And then the glossy one I think looks really bad. I did a pretty bad job of painting this. It makes all the flaws in the MDF stand out a lot, so I'm probably not going to use that. I'll probably use the flat black to paint everything and then just try not to scratch it. But yeah, so the speakers will be painted black. Some of the hardware I'm using, the Dayton Audio DTA2 amplifier. I made a video of that recently, just testing it out. These are some cheap Chinese crossovers that I got from Amazon, 2 for like 15 bucks. So I had to get these instead of some Dayton Audio ones because these are a lot more compact. They actually fit inside the speakers, while the Dayton Audio crossovers are pretty large. They're like as big as the speakers or even more. So that's why I chose to go with the cheap ones. Got a bunch of bags of different screws here. Those are for mounting the drivers and the crossovers to the cabinet. You can see I already have some screws put on here ready to go. And there is a power brick for the amplifier, which you need to buy separately. This is 12 volt 3 amp. It recommends 2 amp power supply, so by going with 3 I'm being a bit safer. Just regular 3.5 millimeter cable, and of course the drivers. So these are the Dayton Audio NB105-4 4-inch mid-range drivers, and I chose these because they look great. They are very compact, and I wanted to something that would give a decent amount of bass even though the speakers are very small. So going with 4-inch, not bad. I think it looks great. Probably some of the best looking drivers I have ever seen, and very compact and light, so perfect for this project. And tweeters, they come in a really cute box, extremely small. This is a 5/8 inch tweeter, and I think it's also 4 ohms, or maybe it's 6. I think it's 6 ohms. But yeah, these are the components that will be going into the speakers. So all that's left now is to paint the cabinets and then get started building. Alright guys, so it's been a while and I have finally got this painted. You can see here I did figure out how to do the semi-gloss black. It turns out I actually had to shake the can a bit more to get the semi-gloss effect. So it doesn't look perfect. I think I should have probably used some finer grit sandpaper to flatten all the sides perfectly, and maybe use some primer or something. But I think it doesn't look bad. The front definitely looks very nice with the semi-gloss black on it. And yes, I got both of them finished. I put the volume knob already in this one over here. So this thing turns and it's pretty smooth. So that's pretty much finished. What's next is actually putting the crossovers and amplifier inside. So this is going to be a bit more difficult on this speaker specifically because it doesn't have the removable back. So I will have to slide it in there like this and then use a long screwdriver to screw in all those 4 screws. But I need to actually solder on the wire that goes from one speaker to the other. This thing right here. And you solder that on before I put this inside. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of soldering, a bit of screwing in electronics inside this closed space. But I think we should have this ready pretty soon. So it's going good. Okay, so I've started doing the electronics, and check this out. So here's the back panel of that speaker over there, and have almost everything attached to it. So the crossover is mounted to the side. It's wired to the amplifier, which I have screwed into the piece of wood using some screws and washers to keep it in place when plugging stuff in from this side. And I have run the wire that's going to the second speaker out through that hole over here. And as you can see, I tied a knot on the wire just before it goes into the hole. This is to prevent anything from pulling on the wire and then ripping the wire out from the amplifier, because that would definitely break it. So whenever you're doing something like this, you always want to tie a knot, and that keeps it from getting pulled. And this wire goes all the way to this speaker over here, which I have also managed to mount the amplifier inside, the crossover inside. So all 4 wires here for the woofer and the tweeter, and then there's a wire over here with the knot. I still have to solder this, and I think I might try to solder it from the outside without taking it off again, but we'll see. So this is pretty long wire. It's about 1.5 meters. That's all I needed. So yeah, these speakers are almost finished. I still need to solder that wire and then screw this into the back of the speaker over here. And then the last thing that will be just to install the drivers. Alright guys, so it is time. I have finished putting together both of the speakers. All of the drivers are in. I think they look wonderful. and we're going to turn them on for the first time now that they've been built. So in the back here, first you're going to connect the 3.5mm plug for audio. Then we're going to take the power plug and attach that. And now we should be able to turn this on and play some music. This is at 50% volume. So yeah, that is pretty much the finished project. I'm very happy with how it turned out. The cable, very strong, not going to get pulled out anytime soon. All drivers are working, both woofers, both tweeters. Although the paint could have worked out better, I think that the overall construction of the speaker is very good. And yeah, I'll put some pictures at the end here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next project. Hey guys, and welcome back to another project that I have sort of already started, but I'm going to be making videos for now until it's finished. So this is going to be a small set of speakers, completely handmade and very compact. So I began by actually designing this cabinet in SketchUp to make sure that everything was going to fit. I wanted it to be very small while still having a pretty large 4-inch driver, and to make sure everything fits inside, I had to digitally design it. And then I went ahead, bought a large 2-foot by 4-foot piece of 1/2-inch thick MDF, and then I cut it into strips just like this one, and then I cut the strips into rectangles of the correct size to make all of the sides of the box. And at that point I basically glued it together. I used the disc sander to flatten out all the sides since when you glue something, sometimes it's like a millimeter off, and you want it to be completely flat. So I just sanded everything. I used a Dremel with a rotary bit on it, and a circle guide to cut out the 2 circles for the small and the large driver.